Hello and welcome to Witchy Woman Podcast. I am your host, Danae Sweet, and this is season 5. I had to think about it. Episode 14. Today we are talking with Kalem Turner, Scotland's leading palmist and one of my favorite people in the whole world. Today we are going to talk about what it's like to be on the other end of a reading. So instead of the client perspective, we are going to give the reader perspective. We are totally going to bitch about things in our industry. We're going to try not to be mean girls about it. But I think these are things that really need to be talked about because sometimes clients come in and the things they either expect or do or behaviors that are exhibited during readings really hinder your reading, and it makes it hard for us to give you like 110% of our, energy. So I think these are important things to talk about, and I'm sure that if you're a reader and you're going to listen to this, that you will find something in here that you also let's just say align with. So anyway, you can find Kalem at kalemturner.com. You can also find him on social media. I'll put all of his links in the show notes so that you can find him easily. All right, so let's get on with it.
Thanks for having me back. It's nice to be back after several years. It's been a wee while since we've chatted on here. If we're sounding a wee bit chummy to anyone out there, we do talk every day. We're the
Mm-hmm.
best of friends, so so it'll be maybe like a very casual one. But it's been several years since I've been on the podcast. My name's Kalem Turner. I'm an astrologer, tarot reader, and palm reader in Scotland. And yeah, we've been good friends for several years now. So it's nice that we can kind of come back to this after knowing each other a lot better and talk about something that we have a lot of opinions on.
Yes. So many opinions. Okay, so first of all, where can people find you online?
Anywhere. I'm online, yeah. I just started posting on TikTok. I'm really using it as a place to vent. But I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Just look up Kalem Turner, Kalem, or Kalem Turner at outlook.com. I have a website, kalemturner.com. You can Google me. I'm out there. I'm out
Okay.
on the internet
Everybody can find you. Just Google his name.
easily.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of other Kalem Turners out there in the
No,
world.
no, no. Okay, so let's start off like this is going to be basically it's not going to be just a bitch session, but it probably will turn into that. But we've got points and we have notebooks with notes on them so that we try to stay on course. But I want to tackle love readings right away because that's you specialize in it, and those are my pet
Yeah,
peeve
yeah.
readings. So
It's the
what do
bane of your life.
yeah, they are. I hate them. So let's hear your take on love readings first.
It's definitely like the most popular part of our industry. Like I've seen so many tarot readers, especially who only do that. You could ask them about your career, your family, they don't know.
Mm-mm.
They're only going to tell you about your soulmate and that's the presumption that you have one,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Love does kind of make the world go round. Like our lives are made up of relationships, but I think it is the number one thing in readings because of our cultures. I think so
Right.
many cultures are centered around the idea of marriage and partnership and kind of the need to have someone else there. And like, I feel like for me, at least, like I'm 32 and single and I love it. Like, I feel like I'm too young in my 30s to get wed. But I feel like it is just such like a normative thing for people that they're going to gravitate towards wanting to know, if they've got love in their future and with who and when and what their personality's like and what they do for a living so that they can like judge that ahead of time or keep an eye out for it. I don't mind reading about it as much because I do have like a good varied clientele. Like a lot of the people that come to see me are just local Scottish people, but then I get a lot of tourists as well, and I get a lot
Mm,
of immigrants. So like I see relationship dynamics that are different from person to person, but also culture to culture. So it's
mhm.
maybe a little bit more interesting for me because I work in the city, like capital city. I've got like a great variety of people. I think it's maybe different for you where you live in rural America
Yes.
and
Yes.
everyone has the same relationship dynamic. I mean,
Oh,
why do you hate doing love readings over, say, a different kind of reading?
I I don't know. I don't like doing re love readings because one, I'm a people pleaser at heart, so I hate disappointing people. And when I know that they have something in the cards or in a reading that they don't want to hear, I really hate disappointing them. So that's number one. It goes against like my need to make everybody happy. But also it's so easy for us to look at their relationship from that brief moment that we're gonna like interact with these people and go, why the hell would you want them back? Like that is my like I want to empower these people. Sometimes they'll come in and they'll say, "Oh, he does this, he does that, he dumped me, he did all these things." And I'm thinking in the back of my head like, "Well, why the hell would you want to go back? You don't need cards to tell you that this is toxic. Go do something else. Like learn to be single for a while." Like it's it's frustrating for me because I want them to have better, and instead they just want to, chase some broke ass asshole who cheated on them, and it's so frustrating. So I don't even want to do them anymore because of that component.
It's such a big problem, and then like, will he come back? It's one of the
Yes.
main questions, and it's such a sad one because I feel like it does leave room for like there's a lot of frauds out there, and they'll say,
Yes.
yes, he will, and if you buy this other service
Oh
from me, like
God.
this cleansing, or like that's
Yeah.
just where the frauds get in. Like the reality is, if you've broken up with someone, like why would that be a successful relationship in the
No.
future? And it's hard to get that news. I mean, I was doing an email reading for someone today, and it looks like they're getting divorced at the age of 34. Like it's
Ooh.
not ideal, but she felt validated by that because she said, well, I am unhappy, and you've kind
Yeah.
of given me the confidence that this isn't,
Uh-huh.
what I want to be doing sort of thing. But it does depend on the person. It depends kind of how they react and what they take out of it.
Hmm.
You have to kind of be careful and adapt that message differently to different people. But yeah, people tend to be really focused on the past, and I always say, I read your future. Like I'm not here to
Yes.
resurrect
Yes.
anything.
Yes. And when people will ask about love readings or they'll get a love reading, what is one of my pets? I don't even do readings anymore because I can't. But they will every 6 weeks or so they'll want a reading and it's the same thing. And if they haven't changed their behaviors or the things that spirit told them to do or suggestions, then it's going to be the same shit, just new day. And I don't want to take their money for that because they haven't done anything to change their path.
Yeah.
So it's going to
People
be the same
look to
shit.
readings. Yeah,
Yes.
they look to readings to avoid doing the work
The work.
themselves. And I think when I say like the work, I mean, I always tell clients, like, say someone's single, right? And they're desperate for a relationship. That's a horrible energy, desperation. Like that,
Oh
you're not
yeah.
going to attract a good relationship, if any, with that.
No.
But it's almost like imagine the relationship is a physical thing in front of you and you're kind of reaching out your arms trying to grab it, but by reaching out you're actually pushing. Like that's the motion that you're kind of doing.
Oh yeah.
Instead what you should be doing is folding your arms, thinking about, yourself, thinking about
Hmm.
what you like about yourself, what you don't like, refining yourself and getting your place to a point where you're like, actually, I'm happy on my own. Because if you're
Yes.
not happy on your own, you're not going to be happy in a relationship. You're just going to take your problems into that or attract them from other people. And I don't think people really want to do that step. And it's not really our job as
No.
psychics or fortune tellers. It's not our job to help you through that. We're just here
No.
for the predictions, really. There are a lot of readers who kind of do that life coaching and therapy
Yeah.
aspect, but not me. I don't think you either.
No, no, and that's one of the reasons that I stopped is because I know at the point, and maybe I'd be different now because I have therapy every week for the past like 3 years, so that helps. But I just I don't want to disappoint them, and I don't like giving bad news. So that's one of the reasons. Also, I just got tired of being a pseudo therapist, and that's not what I am. And if I'm not careful,
Such a good word. Yeah.
yeah, I will lean into that because that's the kind of person I am. So I had to draw boundaries with myself and with my clients because I want to help them and I know what they need. So it's very hard for me not to go across that scope of practice boundary. And here, I don't know what it's like the laws are there, but like here, it's pretty clear. Like you cannot be a therapist without a certificate. And
Yeah,
if somebody is mentally unwell and you give them advice and they do something awful, then, they can come back on you here and sue me for being, giving advice without a, license. So,
for sure.
so
It's
it's
not
very weird.
healthcare. It's
Yeah.
not healthcare, and it's not even healing,
No.
spiritual healing necessarily.
Mm-mm.
If it's a reading, readings should be predictive. But there's so many. I call them like holistic readers here who like do a counseling course and then they
Oh,
say,
yeah.
well, I can't make predictions or I don't make predictions. I use it for a deeper working of the
Yes.
subconscious and let's talk about the inner child and creativity and feelings. But that's not what
Yep.
I do. Like I'm here to predict events in your future.
Oh, yeah.
I'll try and give like a little advice around that and hold a little bit of space, but that is not the job itself.
Mm-mm.
Um, which leads me on to like a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, psychic versus fortune teller. I
Yeah.
think as a fortune teller, you have to be psychic to whether it's like tarot
Yeah.
cards, palm reading, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I always advertise as a fortune teller because over
Mm-hmm.
here, like in the UK, like people think of the word psychic, they think of a medium, like a spiritualist who
Yeah.
channels messages from the dead. And that's happened for me on occasion, but I don't do that really. I do future readings. But I feel
Mm-hmm.
like you do a bit of both because I know you do cards and a little bit of palmistry, but
Yeah.
you are a medium.
Yeah. That's what I did. Like that's my bread and butter. So it's hard for me to separate. Like when I'm doing a card reading and say somebody wants to know about their love or their love future. And I'm doing a card reading, but they'll have, for me anyway, because it's what I do, I'll have like one of I call them their beloved dead. They'll show up and be like, girl, leave that guy. You know what I mean? Like, so I have this part of it and then I have the cards and um it depends on what they booked. I either will talk to your dead or I'm going to do a card reading. And a lot of times people think that it's both. They think
Yeah.
that if you get a card reading, I'm going to channel your dead loved ones. No. Or if I am channeling their loved ones, they think it's like Google that I can just ask them to be like, hey, can you tell me? And it's worked before, but not always do the dead want to cooperate or the communication is clear. But they'll ask, like, where was my great aunt's ring? I lost it in my house somewhere. And it's amazing how many of those appointments I got. And I'm
What do
like,
you say? Like it's under the bath. Like they want
yeah, they
they
want to
want
know
that kind of
exact.
specificity.
And sometimes I've had a couple readings where they're very specific, like their loved ones are very clear communicators. Like it all worked out really well where it was very obvious to me where it was. And those work out great. But I always tell them, like, I cannot guarantee that
Yeah.
your loved ones are gonna want to talk about the thing that you want to talk about.
We were talking about that earlier, like the whole question thing, because
Ugh.
asking a reader questions isn't necessarily the reading itself. There are readers who specialize in questions,
Yeah,
and there are readers who struggle to do readings without getting a question. I think that's
without it.
people who like fish for information through questions. They wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
actually be able to just give you a future reading without getting a
Yes.
question first. Whereas we just like to give people the reading.
Yeah.
And then if they have a question, we'll try to answer it, but that's also not really the service that we're
No.
offering.
Mm-mm. And that's yes, it is a yes. I would rather just because the way I do it is I connect to even when I'm doing a card reading, if it's just a tarot or got my cards, whatever it is, I'm connecting to something else while I'm doing the cards. So I have a process and I'm going to try to connect to my spirit intermediaries, but also theirs. So
Mhm.
if their spirit team doesn't want to play with the questions that they have asked, it's just going to give them whatever they need in that moment. And that's what I'd rather do because I think that's more valuable than when am I going to get a promotion?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun to know, but also sometimes your spirit team would rather you, you know, do something else, move because you're in an abusive relationship, or quit your job because it sucks. So,
I think people forget as well that whether you're a medium or a fortune teller, like readings, whether it's spirit or anything else, like it kind of comes in symbols. It
yes,
comes in symbols and feelings rather than like, I've got your dead mother on the phone. Like I can hear
yes.
sentences from her. Like it doesn't come in
Yes.
sentences, it comes in impressions. And I think
Mhm.
people lose sight of how it actually works, and so they're not able to use it to
Yeah.
the best.
I think if more people understood how different, and there's many different ways. Like I know people who don't, they just read the cards. The cards are their own thing. They're their own spiritual or entity, I guess. I don't even know if that's the right word for it,
Hmm.
but they don't connect to, spirit guides or a deity or the other person's spirit team. They just read the damn cards, which is awesome. But some people who, especially people like me who are mediums, like we read differently sometimes. And I think
Yeah.
that understanding how everybody works, and I always have a spiel when I used to do readings, I had a spiel in the front. I would say, let me explain to you how this works for me. This may work differently for other mediums or readers, but this is how it works for me. Do you have any questions? That way they understand up front, oh shit, this is not, you're not gonna, if they booked a tarot reading about love and this is how I'm gonna do it, then they don't expect to hear from dead Aunt Martha during
Hmm.
their reading then. If you want that, you have to book that differently. But a lot of clients I've found wanted both in one like meshed up service, which is fine, but I don't offer that. I offer one or the other.
Yeah.
It's easier for me.
And it does depend because different people like work differently. Like I totally used to separate. Like I used to say, well,
Yeah.
here's the palm reading service, here's the tarot reading service,
Yeah.
here's the astrology service. When
Hmm.
people come to see me for in-person appointments, I do it all. Like I start
Yeah.
with the hands, then I do the astrology chart, then I do the cards, because most people don't know what they want. Like some
No.
people will come and say, I want to know if I'm going to have kids in the future. And they assume a palm reading is going to tell them that, but it totally doesn't. Like
Mm-mm.
a card reading can. And astrology might be able to give you like a time frame on that, but
Yeah.
like the palm itself just doesn't work for that. And so that's why I incorporate everything into one. But I do
That's awesome.
separate them when it comes to email readings because I'm working differently for that.
Yes.
Um, and sometimes it doesn't matter how many times you explain. Like it says very clearly on my booking page what I do. I then give people a recap of that at the start of the meeting if we've never
Uh-huh.
met before. But I still get people coming and thinking, we actually call it spiritualist in Scotland. Like that's a more common word
Oh
than
yeah.
psychic medium.
Uh-huh.
Spiritual medium or spiritualists, it's all the same thing, really. But yeah, I
Mhm.
try to avoid like talking for dead people or for anyone else because I'm not a
Yeah.
mind reader. It has happened, especially with cards in the past. Like I feel
Mhm.
like tarot cards occasionally, but Lenormand cards I get a lot out of, and like I feel like you can just see like if someone's died occasionally, and like you can
Yeah.
sort of see a message there. But again, it's not so much like words or
Hmm.
sentences. It is like an impression and a feeling, and I try to stay away from that. I'm really future focused.
So, and that's what I would rather do the opposite because it's easier for me. Spirit to me is more present, so I do more uh I can't help if your dead people come through, so I'd rather just deal with
Yeah.
them than and not have the distraction. And but in person, I do the same thing. Like it's hard for me to separate all that crap when I'm standing or sitting across from somebody. So like if I go to an event and I do a vendor event, it's just is what it is. I will let them know, hey, you're getting a palm reading today, but if you're dead come through, like I'll start
Yeah.
talking.
It's sometimes hard to control, even though you are kind of keeping it
Yes.
segregated.
Yeah, in person, I just kind of let it flow. But if I'm doing an online reading, I like to keep it separate because I will be too long-winded. And instead of a 30-minute
Yeah,
appointment,
yeah,
I've ended up talking to them for an hour. So it's
for sure.
me, it's self-discipline that I lack when that happens. So I just kind of have to put myself in a box if I'm going to do it online and do like this kind of like even a video call. Um, it's one or the other. not all of
For
them.
all the like astrologers and astrology enthusiasts who might be guessing, Danae
Oh.
is an eighth houser and Scorpio rising. So yeah, definitely natural medium
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And you were talking about
Whereas,
like different ways to get impressions from that. And I used to have a book and it's in a box still somewhere because we moved everything up here. But I had, when I first started out and realized that this is what I wanted to do, I kept a book of all of my symbols because it was confusing at first because that's how I
oh
speak.
yeah, that's yeah.
I have a book of symbols. So like I remember when I first started doing stuff, I'm like, why the hell am I seeing teddy bears? Teddy bears to me
Mhm.
are children. So spirit will show me how many teddy bears are here, if there's any teddy bears that are passed on, that sort of thing. Um, for me, an airplane just means travel. So it could mean you're just traveling 2 or 3 hours. I need to ask more questions, but like that's my first tip is I'll see an airplane of like, oh, are you traveling somewhere? And
Yeah.
so that's how I do, but also with people I am connected with a little bit more or with my own life, it's claircognizance. I just know stuff. I won't get a audio or a visual like thing in my mind's eye. It'll just be,
Mhm.
oh, like yesterday, this is like totally off, but yesterday I was looking for those little sewing kits because my dogs have ripped open like all of their toys, their little stuffed animals, and I needed to sew them shut. And I could not find my sewing kit here anywhere. So we went to town and I was in the store and they had rearranged the entire store. And I was overstimulated and I'm done with people and I just wanted to know where the damn sewing kit was. So I just closed my eyes and I'm like, show me the sewing kit. And I went straight to like an end cap in the automotive department that had it because I saw it. Like they're just like, here, go here. So that's for me, if that's kind of how it works. It can come in just knowing where
Yeah, yeah.
something's at. My
I
husband
know
will
what you
never,
mean.
my husband will never listen to this, so I can say it, but we play rock, paper, scissors to like go take out the dogs. Like I don't want to take out the dogs after like 6 o'clock because I'm eating my dinner. I'm tired. It's usually cold outside in Nebraska. So I'll go, hey, I'll do rock, paper, scissors for you. And I can win almost every time because I know what he's going to pick. I'll just ask before I go. He's always accusing me of cheating, which I totally am. But um, but
My
that's just
husband is predictable.
he really is predictable. But I'll just know. I'll just like know intuitively this is what he's gonna pick. I'm like, cool beans, paper.
I know what you mean about the symbol thing because there's some methods of divination, particularly like crystal ball and tea leaf reading,
Oh yeah.
which I do tea leaves regularly for myself because I drink so much, like I make so many different herbal blends. Like I had something this morning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like often there'll be a symbol in my cup, but the symbol will be totally random. You know what I mean? Like I could see like the shape of an alligator, and I live in
Uh-huh.
Scotland. Like we don't have those. I'm not going to encounter that. So I'm like, what does that symbolize? You know? So
Yeah.
I'm having to like learn symbolism as I go with it. Same with the crystal ball. I remember like I did an interview before and I was talking about I was reading for this young guy and like I could see avocado maki, like sushi in the
Ooh, yum.
crystal. And I was eating that quite a lot at the time. Like I was eating it for lunch regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like really confused. I'm like, I don't know what this means. Like, do you
Yeah.
like sushi? Because it's like I'm seeing avocado maki. And he said, oh yeah, I'm going to Japan. Like I just booked that. And I
Oh,
actually think like I learned a little later that I think sushi actually originated in Thailand. Everyone just associates it with Japan, but it
huh.
is that like your personal association in your
Yes.
mind. But I actually don't like that kind of reading because it's too
Yeah.
open to interpretation. I really
Oh, it
like
is.
palmistry, astrology, tarot cards, because
Yeah.
they kind of mean what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and anything on top of that is like a natural intuition
Oh,
rather than
yeah.
a what the fuck is that random symbol coming in? Like I don't
Exactly.
get that.
Yes.
But it also like I get like little things day to day. So for example, earlier I was thinking about how I'm going to make TikTok videos. And I said, well, I'll just tell stories. Like, I'll just do stories because that's fun for me. And when I thought the word stories in my head, I was watching an interview with Charles Spencer, which was, you know, not something I would normally watch, but he said the word stories at the same time that I thought it. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay, that's a sign. And that's kind of how
yeah.
readings happen because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like you, I consider myself more claircognizant or clairsentient. Like it's
Yeah.
more like thoughts and feelings rather than like a
Yeah.
vision or a voice. So yeah, it's kind of like learning to recognize the different ways of reading and figuring out which one works for you at the drop
Yeah.
of a hat, because that really is what dealing with clients is like.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Whichever your go-to is. And that's what I lean into for the most part is my own the way and of course all of this is like conjecture because like we don't you can't prove any of like I cannot prove that my spirit team is talking to their spirit team and relaying shit back to me. But that's how it was explained to me when I started doing this and I wanted to know how
Hmm.
this is going to work and how my spirit team was going to do that. And that's the intuitive explanation for how, for me, how it all
Yeah.
works.
And again, like different people have different perceptions of that.
Yes.
You've kind of characterized that in like a spirit team. So you're almost like personalizing these
Yes.
other people would call it energies. You know what
Yeah.
I
It's
mean? They
just,
just say,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm getting this energy, I'm getting this impression or
Hmm.
whatever." So it really is just like different perspectives because we do
Hmm.
similar things, but we're different people, and so
Yeah.
we're gonna view it
Do it differently.
and act on it like slightly differently. Which
Hmm.
kind of leads me into something else. Occasionally, not too often, but I had an email recently, and it's not happened for a while. This guy emailed me, and he was like, "Hey, I did the this tarot spread, which was like a Celtic cross or something. It's not something I use. I don't even use tarot spreads. Like I just pull
Hmm.
cards." He said I did this Celtic cross spread on New Year, like on Hogmanay on New Year's Eve,
Hmm.
and I feel that it was really powerful, but I'm not getting anything from it. Could you tell me what it says? And I was like, what? Like, first of all, how's it
No.
going to be powerful if you can't like get anything from it? Second
Yeah.
of all, like those aren't my cards. It's not a reading that I've done. Why would I be the one to interpret it? It just
Wow.
makes no sense.
Yeah.
Do people ever ask you that?
Yes. Yes. And usually it's just like when I was doing readings, they would, especially when I was teaching like the witchy stuff. And I don't teach tarot, I don't teach that sort of thing, but they still would be like, "Hey, I'm doing a reading. What do you think of this?" And I'm like, "I can tell you
Mhm.
what the textbook meaning of those cards are, but what do you feel about them?" Like
Yeah.
because your energy touched the cards, your intention was in all of that as you were laying those cards down. So your energy signature is, to me, if you think of it that way, like your energy signature is on those cards. So this reading is for you by you. So I want to help them, but that's like, what do you feel about them? And I think sometimes people just need the permission, quotes, to just do something that they feel instead of like, well, I
Hmm.
know that this card means this and this card means that, which is okay, but how do you feel as the cards make a story? What's the story that you see in those cards? And sometimes they just need the permission to trust their own intuition and go, "Oh, well, this is what I see, or this is what I feel, or whatever it is." Because a lot of times friends will do that too, and it'll be like, what do you, tell me what you feel?" And sometimes that just opens up their abilities as well. But yeah, I can't read your cards that you drew.
I think they're just afraid to get it wrong, you know.
Yes.
But
Yes.
also, like, a lot of people just aren't gifted at reading themselves. Like, I don't
True.
particularly care to read for myself apart from the astrology, because astrology is just so accurate for timing stuff. Like, that's what I like
Hmm.
doing forecasting. Um, I ran in, I was scrolling through like an astrology group, or I searched it up, and I saw a
Hmm.
post that I had posted, and it was like December 2020, and I was
Oh,
asking about like death of a sibling with a certain placement during a certain transit, and like I was like, oh my God, like I knew my brother was going to die like 3 years before it happened. And
yeah.
I had wondered, I was like, I knew that at the start of the year because I said something to my auntie that I thought he was going to die around his birthday, and she was like, don't be nasty, like don't say that sort of thing. But I was wondering like how long had I been thinking that? And apparently like three
You
years
knew.
before. Like, so astrology is like a good way for me to read external events in my own life, but I probably wouldn't do a tarot card reading for myself very often, if at all.
Mm-mm.
And if I did, it would be like in a very unique kind of way, maybe not how I would be reading clients necessarily.
Yeah. I I don't do cards for myself either. If I want to check in because I am. I'm very emotional. So for me, when I want to check in with, my life, I would rather meditate and journal afterwards or
Mm,
do something that's a little more subjective because I don't know. I just think I put too much of what I want into the cards. I think that if I want the cards to say this thing, I think that I can see that in the cards instead of what's true. So, I like to rely on what my guy, and I call him my spirit team, what they want to show me. I'll just ask. I don't have questions usually. I will just meditate and ask, like, what's the most important thing I need to know in this moment to, whatever, make my day better or get through the day or get through the week or whatever, get through my life. And I rely on that a little bit more than the cards. But even that I don't do very often. I will have like every once in a while I'll get like you sit the hell down, we have a lot to tell you. And so I will do that and it's a feeling that I will get like in my gut and that feeling doesn't go away until I go do the thing, until I go sit down and meditate and listen to see what's going on. And that doesn't happen very often. But when it does, it usually means something really big or bad is going to happen. And they're like, here's a heads up.
yeah,
And they,
good to
yeah,
get the big things, but there is such a thing of doing it like too often. And
it
I
is.
think a lot of readers as well, like I definitely take the perspective that like it's better to just create your future rather than be like a bystander and like,
Yes.
what's gonna happen and then wait for it or
Yep.
try to dodge it. Like you're best to be proactive
Yep.
and just trying to like manifest what you actually want, which I think can be part of like what we do for clients as well, is teaching them how to create their own future. Like there's
Hmm.
78 tarot cards, but only two are like totally unchangeable, so they say. Um, yeah. So there's
Hmm.
different ways you can kind of view what a reading is. But then you
Absolutely.
can also go a little bit too hard on it, where like people really like aren't great at readings, and then when they get it wrong, they're
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, you manifested it differently," and
Yeah. I'm like, no.
manifestations minute to minute. Like I'm, not, there has to be a balance in that as well.
Yes. And that's what when I do a reading, I always tell them like this is what I'm hearing or seeing in the cards right now. Like if it says that you're gonna like go, break up with your boyfriend or whatever, or lose your job or something. If you're a shitty employee, yeah, you're gonna lose your job. So you can change that if you don't want to lose your job. Stop being a shitty employee. And that can help change or manifest the life that you want. If you wanted to keep your damn job, then, get to work on time. Do the mundane things. It's not, I think a lot of times clients are looking for an easy button. Like by getting
Yeah,
a
yeah.
reading, they're going to get like this blueprint on how to, this is how to make my life better. And we're going to give them like 7 steps to make their lives better after they get a
Mm.
reading.
We were talking
Not,
about that yesterday because I
yeah.
had a client who came to see me last year and she said the reading was really accurate and she wanted another one like as soon as possible. I think she came to see me in person about a year ago,
Oh,
but she
yeah.
lives in a different country. So she got an email reading and she said, she kind of phrased her questions. And again, I don't really like questions. I like to just give the reading, but she was insistent on these questions because gave her an accurate reading before.
Well,
Now
yeah.
she thinks I have all the answers. But the
Yeah.
questions weren't so much indicative of what will happen and when. It was more, how do I do this? How do I achieve?
Yes.
What steps do I take? And I'm like, not
I
my
don't know.
job. Like, I'm not a
Mm-mm.
life coach and I'm not like a professional in those relevant industries. I'm not here to fix your problems or aid
Hmm.
you in the steps forward. I'm only really here to tell you what's going to happen. And I'll try and give that in a helpful and constructive way. But I had to say it. I was like, I'm sorry you're disappointed in that, but like it's out of the scope of my job. Like all
Yes.
I'm here to do is make predictions. Like I'm not here to guide you through it necessarily, or
Yeah.
walk you step by step and give you that sort of list of things you need to do because I'm not here to tell you how to live your life or what steps you need to take. I'm just going to give you my opinion on what's going to happen and when, maybe.
Yep. And I think that I blame it on the new age bullshit, to be honest. I do. I blame because there are so many, I could like scroll through Facebook and on on my feed, and I will see so many, it's life coaches and spiritual life coaches, which is fine, but
Yes.
they expect those people and us to like merge and be like a life coach, card reader, fortune teller, psychic, medium. And they want all of it in one. And that's no.
They want a buffet, and there
Yes.
are people out there who do that. I
Yeah.
don't think buffets are high quality cuisine. I think you're best if you want good cuisine, go to a restaurant that specializes in one kind of food and has
Yes.
a limited amount of dishes on offer. You will find a buffet who does everything,
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
probably not going to be as good quality. Yeah,
Hmm.
can't be all things
No.
to all people, definitely not.
No, and that's something like I actually went to school and learned how to do like the business side of this and all of that through Southwest Institute of Healing Arts in Arizona.
So many lives.
I know, right? But I went to school and I learned how to do all this stuff. And part of their curriculum to get my like little, degree or whatever in the end of it was life coaching. And I remember asking my instructor, I'm like, isn't this like therapy? Like, if should we be doing this? I remember asking, like, I don't know if this is legal, bro. And they teach you there's a very fine line. And
Too
and it
fine, some might say.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't know if this is right, but it was part of the curriculum and I learned how to do it. And I think unfortunately that little bit of knowledge that stuck in my head about that is why I had in the beginning such a hard time with boundaries and clients because I
Yeah.
would try to slip into that role. I'm like, no, 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 that's not what I want to do. Um,
I was
and
the same for the
yeah,
first few years, like
it's
really
hard.
struggled with boundaries. And I studied counseling at college as well. Like I thought I was going to be a
Yeah.
counselor at one point. I'd done all sorts of industries like retail, catering, hairdressing,
Yeah.
healthcare. Like I'd done sort of everything.
Oh yeah.
And so for like the first few years when you're starting a business, you want to accommodate everything.
Oh yeah.
So if your client got bad news and started crying at the end of your appointment, you'd
Yes.
extend the time to double and you wouldn't charge them. You'd accept
Oh
like the
yeah.
minimal tip or whatever. And,
Mm-hmm.
over the years, I've learned how to sort of really refine that and
Oh
like
yeah.
say no and almost like stop people before they get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, we're not therapists. It's not
No.
what we're qualified for, and we shouldn't be able to have to take on all that baggage.
No.
Technically, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say for where you are because like
Yeah.
the US is just 50 different countries in one.
Oh, basically, yes. Yes.
Yeah, but like here in the UK, Scotland anyway, and we're all kind of governed by the same laws. It's like four small countries over two islands. Like fortune telling is really seen as entertainment.
Yeah.
That's all it can offer. But I always tell people readings can be good news or bad news, and I'll give it to you in a
Yeah.
nice way. But what you do with it, like be
Yes.
prepared for it, because I'm not here to like sell you Novocaine. I'm not going
Mm-mm.
to tell you, just
I
what
love
you
that.
want to hear, sort of thing. And most people do get bad news
Yeah.
because life is not roses. And I feel like I'm
No.
actually really good at seeing the bad news. I'm a bit of a like siren or something. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
I'm good at those sort of harbingers and warnings. I always say like you could have a positive reading or a negative reading.
Oh
It's
yeah.
usually both because life is made up of
Yes.
positive and negative experiences.
Yes. 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 What is the let's see, what else? Oh, so how do you deal with the 2 week later questions? Like we were talking about that. Like I personally have raging unmedicated ADHD. And when I do a reading, it's like as soon as I'm done with the reading, I know I just basically like brain puke everything out and that's the end of it. Otherwise, and I'm on to the next
Yes,
thing. So if somebody got a reading was like, "Oh shit, I forgot to ask you about this particular card or this loved one or what." I'm like, "I have no idea." I to be honest, like I'm like, hang on a minute. I have to see when the last time our appointment was because I don't know. I
for
don't, yeah.
sure. How are you going to remember? How are you going to remember like what you said in a reading 3 weeks ago? Like
Yes.
for me, it's ridiculous because like I would say like minimally I see a dozen clients a week, like usually
Oh
double
yeah.
that. Mixing like in person and email reading. So if someone's messaging me even later that day,
Yeah.
often people will. I leave room for like a question or two at the end of readings. Like I'll
Yeah.
start with the palm reading, I'll do their astrology chart, and then we'll do the cards. And then at the end, I'll say, "Do you have a question before we
Yeah.
finish?" Some people are like really want to take a mile when you're offering an
Yeah.
inch with that, and they'll rattle off like
Yeah.
seven questions at the
Mm,
end. Be
yes.
fine if they let me know up front, but like, limit yourself. But
Yeah.
often people will message me later that day or the next day and say, "Hey, I forgot to ask you this. Like, what do you think about that?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. You left. Like, I've,
Yes.
I've put the cards away. Like, I can't see
Uh-huh.
your hands right now." And to be honest, even if I could, it's not my job to continue on that appointment into the
Hmm.
evening or the next day or
Yes.
several weeks later. Um, Sometimes, though, I actually think like one time I kind of got it wrong for saying no because
I
during COVID, I was working in a psychic shop. It was called Shining Light. I don't know if you remember it. It doesn't
remember.
exist anymore. It went down a couple years ago. But I was doing readings there, and in the UK, we had like a heavy pandemic, like businesses had to close
Oh
unless
yeah.
you were like a grocery store or like a medical center, like you had to close. So many businesses were ruined. And it was kind of like open and shut, open and shut. But
Hmm.
close to Christmas, it was December, like everything was shutting, but you could technically be open if you wanted to. And
Oh
so I
wow.
let the psychic shop know that I wasn't going to be around, like, close to Christmas or whatever. And it gets to December 23rd. And I thought they'd like cancelled all my appointments, and someone like turned up in a taxi and they were visiting the country and they were like, "Where is he?" And they were like, "Oh, he's not working. He's like off because it's COVID and whatever.
Yeah.
Like we're just powering through." And they then messaged me and said, "Oh, the appointment wasn't cancelled, blah blah blah." And I was like, "I'm so sorry." Because at
Yeah.
the time the psychic shop was handling my bookings. Like you had to book in through their website and all that.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm really sorry. Can I offer you an online reading like as
Yeah.
an apology?" Usually they cost more money than in-person readings, so you're kind of getting a deal. But she was so upset that I wouldn't come right there and then. I
Oh
lived
no.
over an hour away from the store, and it was the pandemic. It was during
Yeah.
kind of lockdown. It was,
Yeah.
back and forth. But she said no, and this was December 23rd, and then she got in touch November the next year
Oh
to
God.
say, "Can I still have that free reading?" And I was like, "No, girl, you turned it down like a year ago. Like, are you insane? Like, no."
No.
Um, Looking back, I'm like, was I wrong? I don't
I
know.
I
But
wouldn't have.
normally I just tell people like, it's not my job to drag it on for
No.
however long. But
No.
I do feel bad for her in that instance because
Well,
she
yeah.
wasn't told, when everyone else
Yeah.
had been canceled and dates removed and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I get that. Uh, I don't know. I want to help them. I feel bad when they're like, "Hey, shit, I forgot what you had said." I want to help them, but I honestly don't remember. And it's like you said, it's not our job to like
Yeah.
remember 2 weeks or a
Don't feel
year.
bad. Just say to them like,
Yeah.
I can't remember or I'm not sure, but we
Yeah,
could talk about that in your next reading. If they're a
that's what
client you
I'm.
want to see again.
Yeah, I'm like, you could book again, but I try to explain it to them, especially if it's a mediumship reading. I try to
Yeah.
tell them like imagine that there's a power cord and it's plugged in while your reading is happening. And when it's done, the cord is out, there's no more power and there's no more connection. So I can't go back and like put myself back in that reading again because I'm unplugged. So,
Yeah.
and a lot of times that they'll, oh, okay, because sometimes people just don't know that
You
that's
do
how.
have to use an analogy for it to like make people understand
Yes.
because they just don't get it.
No, a lot of people just don't know. And a lot of people, when they are upset that I cannot just jump back into it, if I say it that way, they're like, oh shit, I didn't know. They just assume it's like pay-per-view on demand service where I can just like boop, 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 boop,
You're living
boop.
in the underworld, girl. I know you're already there. Just tell me what you're seeing.
Right? I'm like, no, I cannot. And you know what? There's been times in my spiritual like journey that I have lived in that space. I have lived and breathed spirit. And, I would meditate like 2 hours in the morning and an hour before bed. And, I would check in with my guides often throughout the day. And that is all fine and dandy, but you will forget that you're even on the earth. Like, I
Yeah.
just lived in this little dream world with my people, that no one else can see. And that's not right either. Like you shouldn't do
That
that
is a
either.
downside to it. Like
Yeah.
you can live in that. Like I think
Yeah.
like doing divination and fortune telling, like it is a lifestyle, but
Yes.
I'm also really mindful not to become like schizotypal about it and like to
Yeah.
just read meaning in everything
Yes.
because it's an exhausting way to live and
Yes.
you detach from like the physical reality that you are meant to be like a part
We're
of.
yes. We're meant to be here.
Let me ask you something because
Mhm.
it's come up a couple of times. Like you struggle to say no to people.
I do.
Um,
Horrible.
boundaries are a big thing. I learned it. It took me a few years, but
Yeah.
I feel like I've got good boundaries now. But I'm
Hmm.
wondering if that niceness is ever because you've also got a temper. Like you're an emotional
Oh,
person.
yes, I do.
Something that really gets my goat. Like I'm quite I feel like as gay people, like
Hmm.
we have good clapbacks because
Oh,
we're kind
yeah.
of bullied from a young age and so you learn to be quick and like snappy with your words. I
Yes.
get so many people being rude to me. Like I remember one day at the psychic center where I work, a lady was with her daughter in the hall and the manager of the building was like, "Oh, Caleb, these ladies are asking, if they could have a reading or whatever." And so I'm saying hi, and the older lady, I think it was the mother, she must have been like in her early 60s, but
Hmm.
she just looked me up and down and she said, "Are you any good?" And I was like, "What?" And she said it again. Like her daughter looked mortified. She was like, "Are you any good?" And I just went, "Better than you." Like truly, like check the review pages if you want a review, but like
Oh, that's
I'm not seeing you
amazing.
with that attitude, like
Yeah.
disgraceful. And people even like message with that. I remember at the start, it must have been pre-pandemic, like 2018,
Yeah.
2019. A young girl messaged me and she said, on Facebook, and she was saying, "Oh, can I get an appointment?" Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And she said, "How do I know you're not just going to get all the information off my Facebook?"
Ugh.
And I was like, well, first of all, like if your future's already on your Facebook, then you don't need me. Like, dumb
Yeah.
fucking question.
Yeah, that's
Second
rude.
of all, that's an incredibly like rude thing to
It's
say. And I
rude.
don't know like why you think I need to like sell myself to you. Like you're
Yeah.
approaching me, not the other way around. My
Yeah.
review pages speak for themselves.
Hmm.
If you really feel I said to her as well, I was like, if you feel like someone's a scammer, you shouldn't be making contact with them whatsoever.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
don't have to put up with that. Even back then, like at the
No.
start. And she sort of messaged back and she was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not the way I meant it." I'm like, well, how fucking did you mean it? Do you
Yeah,
know what
you
I
were
mean? Like, how
rude.
dumb can you be? Like, I
Yes.
don't need to take you on. You're messaging me, not the other way around.
Yes.
But people really think they wouldn't speak to an electrician like that, or a
No.
barber,
No.
or a chef. So I'm wondering, have you ever had any like really rude clients that you've
Yeah.
like let
Snap
the
back.
scorpion out?
Yes, I have. There's two instances, and these were like vendor events where I was set up. And I usually have, even if we're in a building, I have like a tent that I set up for privacy. Because
Hmm.
if I'm gonna do mediumship, which I don't like doing that so much it's in a big setting like that, but sometimes I used to. So I would want privacy for those who were gonna cry. And I remember the biggest we were up in Deadwood, South Dakota, and I set up a tent there, and this guy sits down, and you could tell he was drunk, and and because Deadwood is a gambling town, it's like
Oh,
a big like Calamity Jane and like all of the old Western, like it's a big deal up there. So it's a gambling town, and I'm outside in my little tent, and this guy comes up, and I was doing palm readings. That's all I was gonna do there. No cards, no nothing, just palms. Because I was lazy and I didn't want to bring anything else. So whatever, we're gonna do palms. And he walked by, and you can always tell the assholes because they'll like take a couple swipes before they're like strike.
yeah, yeah.
And
Surveying.
yeah, and his wife really, really wanted to do one, and she kept going, "Oh, come on, can I do one? Can I do one? Please, please, please." And he was rude. He was like, "These things are a scam. She's gonna take your money, like whatever." And I'm like, "Sit down, sir." So he sits down, and I just grab his
Sit down,
hand.
sir.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll do this for free. And I held his hands and I just asked Spirit to give me something. And asked him, I said, when you were little, how did you like that little room that you got locked in? And he threw my hands and threw $60 at me. And like they ran so far. It must have
Love
hit a
that.
nerve. So that one. And then another one that happened, which was kind of sad. And it was really early in me doing things in a public venue, like at
Yeah.
vendor events. And these people came in. It was a mother and a daughter, and they came in and they wanted mediumship readings. And instead of mediumship, they showed me like an abusive thing happening. And this is where like the therapist
Oh,
thing and this, I'm like,
yeah.
I just stopped the reading immediately. I'm like, are you guys safe? And I could see their husband, like the guy kind of circling my tent.
Ooh.
And that he came in and he kept going, what are you guys saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? Because, abusers want to be in control
Yeah,
of
yeah.
everything. And he didn't want them telling me anything. So I just like slipped them a card with the like I Googled like the local domestic violence thing and like slid it to her while we were doing our reading or whatever. And it ended up like I found out because it's a small town. I found out later that she actually like got away from him like within like a few days after that reading.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
yeah, it was pretty neat. That's the only other like weird thing that like he was rude. He kept going like just circling around and like peeking his head in and being
Yeah,
like,
that's creepy.
"What are you saying? Can I record
I think
this?"
like
No.
a lot of people, because I've had that as well, like people who are either, it doesn't even have to be an abusive relationship, it can
Yeah.
just be unhappy. They
Yeah.
tend to want to go for it to a reader to not, sometimes it can be to be that bridge, but honestly,
Yeah.
just to give them that, like, yes, you can leave, and I think you will. And,
Yes.
it might not be easy, but like, you're
Yeah.
probably going to have another relationship in the future as well. This doesn't have to be the rest of your
Yes.
life. So I totally get what you mean by that. I tend to stay away from like events now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
I just find them exhausting, and especially if
they
people
are.
are drinking. Last year, I went to someone's house and it looked like a little castle. We have a lot
Oh,
of
oh
castles in
yeah.
Scotland, but like this was a proper manor house, and it looked like, it
Oh,
had like turrets and everything. It was so cool.
that's cool.
And I was doing 12 readings that night. She'd booked me for 3 hours. Um, the lady obviously made a lot of money, but even though she was like my age, like I remember looking at her, reading the cards for her, and I was like, oh, I see like a lot of contracts in your work. What do you do? And she was like, I'm a contractor. So I'll always remember that because it was just
Yeah.
so ridiculous. And then other people were getting readings like another lady, I kept picking up on like a heart issue, and she was like, I've had 2 heart attacks. Another lady, I said, like, oh, you're in healthcare, and I see you going to Ireland. She's like, oh, I'm a nurse. I'm going to Ireland on Sunday. Like, so
Nice.
it was going really well. But we got to like the 10th or the 11th reading of the night. It was half an hour before I was due to finish. And it was the lady's dad, and he turned up late for the reading. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so he'd like missed half of his time basically, and he was really drunk. Like, he was stinking.
Yeah.
And he was like, well into his 60s. I want to say late 60s, so kind of like an older guy. And the first thing he asked me was, can you stay around to do one more? And I was like, no, sorry, like I've
Yeah.
got a ride coming, like I'm not going to make it a 13th reading or
Yeah.
whatever. And so he took the hump with me right away. Like he was not happy because I said no.
Yeah.
And so I kind of sat him down and I was like, okay, so you've missed half the time
Yeah.
because you didn't show up. So pick one, pick like your hands or the cards. And he just
Yeah.
sort of looked at me and shrugged his shoulders. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll pick the fucking card. Because at this point, I was
Yeah.
like, don't even argue with them, just get it done.
Just be done.
So
Yeah.
I'm laying out the cards and I'm starting to read them. And I'm like, okay, so the first thing I see you doing is traveling. And he goes, no, 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 no. I've never traveled. I would never travel. I own an antique shop and I'm looking to do this for my business to leave something behind for my children and blah, blah, blah. And once he'd had that little tantrum and calmed down, because I just stood there like staring at
Yeah.
him, once he'd had that little tantrum, he went, do you know, actually, I'm going to Turkey in springtime. Like it's my first time going abroad, and then we're planning to go here for the summer. And I'm like, why the fuck did you cut through? You know what I mean? Like you're just being a dick because you're drunk. Like it's
Oh,
just best to avoid, I think, alcohol in any sort of
it is.
professional situation. But even
Yes.
if you're the quote unquote entertainment, like I just
Yes.
don't want to put up with that.
You still have a boundaries. And I call it stump the chump, and I will just stop a reading. I started like people would you can kind of get the vibe from the stump the chump people. Like in the beginning, they're like want you to fail so badly that they like feed you shitty information or they won't validate what you're saying. Or like he was going to Turkey. He obviously was traveling. Like,
Yeah, like
you
the
know,
fact that he was like, I have never traveled and I would
yeah.
never travel. And then he's like, actually, I've got tickets
Yeah.
booked. Like, and this was March.
Oh
This
my
was
God.
March. He's saying we're going in, I think, April or like the spring or whenever it was. What a fucking arsehole. And I'm
Right.
usually good at like doing readings. Like, I can tell someone, like usually a handful of things, and I'll get certain details, and sometimes I can get the actual country, like
Yeah,
especially if it's a country that I'm familiar with.
that's
Sometimes I
so
just
cool.
describe the country, or I describe like what they're doing there.
Hmm.
But like I didn't even manage to get that far because like he'd missed half the reading, and then when I started, he cut through me. So I was like, do you know what? I just fucking won't bother. I really
Yep.
won't bother. His daughter messaged me the next day to be like, everyone loved their readings, and I was like, do you know what? I'm sure 11 out of 12 did. Maybe her dad didn't say anything to her, but like I did want to say to her, like, your dad's an embarrassment. I don't deserve to be treated
Yeah.
like that. But I just
Yeah.
thought, it was like 5, 10 minutes out of my life, and she was paying me a lot of money, and I just thought, just fucking let it
Yep.
go. Who cares?
Yep. Yeah. I and that's at the events, local events, we get a lot of those kind of guys. uh,
Hmm.
because we live in a very conservative area where they don't like people like me anyway. So I will get a lot of that, of people sitting down going, "Oh, I'm going to make her fail so badly. I hope she fails." And you can just smell it on them when they come and sit down. And it's another reason that I haven't done public events in a long time. I've done a couple like private ones, but nothing that public.
Have you ever thought about dressing it up differently? So, for example, instead of going black clad and
Oh
looking
yeah.
like a fucking witch and saying palm readings, have you ever thought about calling it like Christian hand analysis, and you can go wearing a crucifix for the day? Like,
Uh-huh. I used to.
they'd be
So
a
when
lot
I
more receptive, maybe.
when I first started out, because I knew how bad people around here viewed anything that's not Christianity, I would dress for these events. I would dress in, because I love a good power suit. Like I love suits. I miss them. That's my like job before. I got to wear like pretty suits. Anyway, I'll wear like a very nice conservative suit. I would wear high heels. I would look very, normal. And they treat me completely different. They treated me completely different that way. And I also didn't say psychic readings. I kept the word psychic and medium out of everything, and I would just say intuitive readings.
Intuitive consultant, and then you're
Yep.
dressed very, very casual business, so it's interpreted totally
Yeah.
differently.
So I got treated completely different when I would do them like that, as opposed to dressing like I normally like to dress, which is, you know, a little gothic.
Gothy,
Um,
gothy witch woman.
yeah. Yeah, they hate that. The last event I did, I dressed like I normally dress. I didn't go like crazy, but I just dressed like I normally dress. And I only had people that looked like me stop at my booth. Everybody else was like, she's evil.
Yeah. I think I could manage like events for an hour at a time now, but I'm trying to be so particular. Like, I did get invited to the Edinburgh Futures Institute to do
Ooh,
palm readings for climate change,
that's
which
amazing.
is it was I think it's called Venture Cafe. They have them all over the world from like Berlin
That
to
is so
Tokyo.
cool.
We've just had a few in Edinburgh now, but like the building was so cool, the Futures Institute. And I thought, that's like a good controlled environment for it. Everyone was
Hmm.
really receptive, but also it was kind of boring for me because everybody was the same type of person. They
Oh
were all the
yeah.
type of person to who, in their spare time are going to attend a climate change event at a university,
Hmm.
during the day because they're privileged enough to like have that time and that interest. Like they
Right.
don't have something else going on there. So it was a little boring, but yeah, try to just keep open to events because I've had some great ones as well. They're not all
Yeah.
terrible, but I used to do a lot of witch markets and I did 37
I
readings in a
like
day
those.
one day, and that's unhealthy. It's really
Oh yeah.
unhealthy.
I signed up for the Denver back when I think it was in COVID because it got canceled. But I kind of been thinking about doing the Denver witch, like they have like a witches market as well, like a witches
Mm-hmm.
ball and a market and everything
Mm-hmm.
down there. And I think that would be a lot of fun. Ren fairs I find very entertaining because everybody's there to have a good time. They're
Yeah.
happy. There's a certain kind of person who likes to go to a Ren fair. So for the most part, those people are whimsical and fun, and
Mm-hmm.
I used to love that. We did four or five of them, 2022 or 23, I can't remember. After COVID finally let up and they let us do shit here. Um But I did that and I really enjoyed it. It's just a lot of work because I was doing like 30
Yeah,
readings a day. And
easy, easy,
and
yeah.
yeah, and it's very lucrative and it was so much fun, but I spent like 2 weeks just recovering from those. I would just like go home and pass out. But I did
Exactly.
really, really enjoy those. You got to
I
be
don't know how lucrative it is because people just see it as like time in terms of the work, but like it is so strenuous. And I've done so
yeah.
many different kinds of jobs, like reading at markets is the worst thing.
Hmm.
I wish we had the Renaissance fairs because we don't have them here and we so
Oh,
should. Like Scotland's
yeah, why
obviously,
not?
we could have them at an actual castle. I might
Exactly.
pitch, I've been thinking about pitching an idea at a couple
You
local
should.
castles and saying, I could come with a
Oh,
fortune teller tent, hold a little fair or something.
that
Because
would
it's
be
just
cool.
something that's not done. But I think it's mainly because of the weather. Like the weather can be shit
Probably.
all year round here. Like it can be raining in June,
Yeah,
July. Like it
true.
can be heavy, heavy grey at that time. And so it's kind of unpredictable. But I think with global warming, our summers are getting a bit
Yeah.
warmer and hotter,
Oh God, yeah.
and longer, I should say. So I'm gonna start thinking about like fun ways that maybe I can create an event because
Oh yeah. Why
I
not?
think like especially after the pandemic, there used to be a lot of like psychic fairs and spiritual fairs, holistic
Hmm.
events, but now there's like a variety of witch. I've done the
Oh,
Witchy Bazaar in Glasgow, Leith Witchcraft Market in Edinburgh. What was another one? The Midnight Lunar Markets. I used to
hmm.
do those. There's so many different variations, but they tend to be the same thing, just in different
Different
locations, different
font.
organizers, different vendors. Um, Renaissance would be really fun.
I love going to them. One, I love dressing up. It's like I get to be dramatic and wear like
Hmm.
all the cool, I don't know, I love those dresses and all of that. I just find it very visually stimulating and I love that about a Ren fair because there's so much to look at and so much to see. Also the
And
food.
having like I guess like a fortune teller or a tarot reader there would be just so like in theme. Like it would
It is.
feel a little disappointing if there wasn't one there.
Yes. And I remember like I did one down in Colorado and I was the only reader there. And that's the one where I was doing like a lot, like 30, 40 a day. I was so
Yeah.
tired. But it was like I made, our booth fee wasn't even close to how much I mean, it was lucrative. And I was like, ooh, we should do
Yeah.
this all the time until like the day after we got home. And I was like, okay, I can't. Like that
You
is
could make a good living doing one a week, like one on the weekends or a
oh
few a
yeah.
month. But even that is
It's a
so,
lot.
you know, I couldn't do more than one a month,
No.
on top of like my regular
Yeah.
readings, because I still have to run a business outside of that.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
can't just live off one market a month.
Yeah, I would love to be able to. At one point, we were talking, we're like, we should get like a little camper and I could go to all these Ren fairs all summer and just kind of go around. And that sounds so fun. But the reality of it is that
Yeah, yeah. The dream if you have the energy and the time
yeah,
and the
I don't
you
think
know the
I
structure
think I'm,
to do that.
yeah, I think I'm too old for that. Also, I get overstimulated. Wait, people, like I love people, but I also have a limit. And then I just get
I think
bitchy.
the events as well, like they're more prone to like people who just interfere. Like you're not in your own private, like I've
No.
got my parlor in the city, like it's a private building, like you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to just come and walk in and interrupt. But people
Hmm.
tend to do that at events. Like
Yes.
I've even when I was like hosted in places that were like just a little bit more open plan, like I'd be at a
Mhm.
table doing a reading for someone and people would come in and like lean over the table and try to
Oh
listen.
God,
I'd be like,
yes.
excuse me, can I help you? And they'd be like, oh, just listening. I'd be like, well,
Yep.
can you not? That's really invasive and rude. Like, and
Rude.
people will act like I'm the fucking arsehole for telling them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No social awareness whatsoever.
Uh-uh. No, and that's what I try to be. I don't mind, like at a Ren fair, when we were doing those, I don't mind if like their family is with them because it's private. Like I
Oh, I
don't
do. I mind.
like I don't mind if there's a few of them around, but I don't want my tent full of people. And I also don't want like the two or three in line behind them to be listening in because this is their reading, not theirs. Like
Yeah.
I'm not
I
performing
always
for
say
them.
it's one to one, like give us some space. And then
Yeah.
often the person I'm reading for will say, like, oh no, it's fine, I want her here. And I'm like, that's not an option, it's not up to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned that like really quickly. I think my first year in business, I had this little booth in the city, and this woman came in and they looked so similar. They were
Yeah.
both blonde, like same height, whatever. Looked similar. And I thought she said, "Can I bring my sister in?" And
Oh
so
yeah.
I'm giving her a tarot reading, and I'm like, "Okay, it looks like you're gonna get divorced." Like, so sorry for the bad news. It's not
Oh.
always bad news, but like this was
Oh
divorce,
yeah.
and they were both really like intense about it. And after they left, she texted me. This is back when I used to give my number out to clients. She
Yeah.
texted me saying, "That was accurate, but I can't believe you said that in front of my sister-in-law." It was like her husband's sister. They just
Oh
happen to look alike and
yeah.
be like really good friends. And so, like I did say, like at the start, I'm like, "Are you
Yeah.
sure?" Like I don't know what's going to come up, sort of thing.
Yep.
But after that, I was just like, you know what? No one else is coming in because
That's a good
I
point.
can't control what information comes in. And if I see a divorce and you're with your sister-in-law, that's what you're getting told. I'm not going to say, "Oh, wait, let me put that all away and
Mm,
reshuffle and, give you
yeah.
something else." That's not the way it works. Plus, I've also found it like confusing if two people are in the room at once. I find it distracting.
It is.
But I've also noticed that the clients themselves find it distracting. And
It
that's
is.
really difficult if you're making a connection with someone, you're kind of talking to them, and then they're sort of looking at their friend, being like, "Oh my God, like, can't believe you
Uh-huh.
said that." I'm like, "Well, come back to me. Like, it's me who you're
Yes.
talking to right now. They were
Oh
meant to
yeah.
be an observer, not an active participant." And
Yeah.
I say that when people want to take notes as well. Like, I had someone the other day there and she had a notebook and she was like, "Oh, I'm just going to write that down." And I was like, "Well, can you do it after? Because I don't want to feel
Yeah.
like you're scribing me. Like, I want to look you in the eyes and connect with you."
Yeah. No, I get that. I I don't mind the people in there, but I want to connect to their energy, not the dude sitting next to you. And when I used to do just phone, I used to do in the very beginning, I did phone readings where I would just be on the phone and I would be talking to them. And I could tell eventually if somebody else is like quietly lurking, listening.
Oh. Or if you're on loudspeaker.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, I told you just you because I need to be able to tune into your vibe, not whoever's with you. And I found a lot of people did that because they wanted a witness or they wanted to record it or whatever it was. But it just makes the reading harder and it may not make it as accurate for that client because if you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
your friends with you, I might be reading your friends by accident.
Especially for you, because you're like a medium, you're working with
Yeah.
the energies. Like it's not so much like I'm looking at the lines in the hand or the
Mm-mm.
planets in the chart sort of thing. Like it's movable and malleable.
Yes.
Something that you just reminded me of. So at the start of the year, I put on my website that I don't offer recorded material because I
Yeah.
used to say, yeah, feel free to record it and listen back if you want. But
Hmm.
with the way AI is going and everything like that, I don't
Yeah.
feel comfortable giving out ownership of my likeness, whether it's like
Uh-uh.
a picture or audio or a video or anything like that. I know you've kind of like closed your books now, you're not taking bookings at the moment, but do you think you would still be open to having people record the reading
No.
today?
No. Absolutely not. And I've caught and I used to do I just did it on Zoom. That's a lot of times. Eventually, I switched to Zoom, and that's how I did my readings. I would just cards or the other way. I would just do it live like this, and I would catch people doing this with their phone.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I'm like, no, 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 no,
I can
no.
literally see myself in your phone screen there, like through the
Yeah,
two
be like,
screens.
no, please don't
It's
do
so
that.
obvious.
Yes. So I would be like, please don't record me. Like, this is, if I was going to offer recordings, then I would charge extra for that because
For sure, yeah. And
I,
some people do, you know what I mean?
yep.
It'd be like if you go into a restaurant, some of the staff might be cool with you filming them, especially if
Yes.
it's for like they're bringing a birthday cake or whatever.
Yeah.
But don't just assume like they're going to be comfortable with you filming them while
Exactly.
they're taking your order. Like that's so
Mm-mm.
weird.
It's rude.
And people will ask me at the start, they'll be like, "I'm just going to record it. Is that okay?" And I'll say no, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple because it's really just been this year that I've started saying no. I've had a
Hmm.
couple people say like, well, I don't do AI. I don't know anything about that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fine. I believe you, but
But
it's not one set of rules for you and then everyone else. It's the same for everybody. Like, I'm not going to
yes.
look at you and say, you look like you can't do it, but this next person it does. So I'm going to change the rules for them. And, I can't say if your technology is safe versus
Yeah.
the next person. Like, that's not how we're doing it. Like, it is
No.
the same for everybody, blanket rule.
Yes. Exactly. I would not. I wouldn't. I don't even know if I would. want to do video readings anymore just because of the AI thing and
You do
people,
email. That's what I do. I do email
yeah, just
readings
do
when
email.
it's online.
Yeah. I just,
Had
yeah,
I had one lady say to me, she really pushed back and she was like, she asked me if she could record it, and I was like, no, and explained the reasons why. And she did that whole, well, I'm not a technology person. I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, it's not about you.
yeah,
It's the whole thing. And yeah, so she came in and she wanted to record it, and then I said no and explained the reasons why. And she said, well, I'm not a technology person. And she said, oh, well, I just assumed it would be okay. And I said, but you didn't, because you asked me if it would be. And she was like, what
yeah,
do you mean? I was like, well, if you assumed, you wouldn't have asked me if it was okay to
yeah,
record. You would have just started recording and
yes,
said, I'm recording now. You didn't. You said, is it okay if I record? By asking, by virtue of asking the question,
you
you're
do.
implying that it might not be. And I'm telling you that it's not. Like, so
Yeah,
you didn't assume anything. Like, you
uh-uh.
asked, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
But, don't act
yeah.
like I didn't tell you already.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a thing. I think that's going to be an issue more going forward because people like everything has to be online. They want to have the
Mm,
recording, they want to have the transcripts, like they want to have all the things. And I think the more technology is a part of our job, the more that's going to get pushed up against, I think. I think people are going to want
yeah.
that. I know some people do offer that, and that's fine. But I think that we should each have our own, like the autonomy to do whatever the hell we feel comfortable with without being like, well, so and so psychic allows me to do it. Why won't you?
Yeah. 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 I'm
I,
like, well, go to them. Why aren't you with them if that's
yeah,
what you want? If you really
yeah.
want them, why are you here?
Uh-huh. Yeah, because I just don't feel comfortable with it. Especially, like you said, especially with AI now. And I realize that our likenesses are online because we have websites and social media and all that, but this kind of setting is different. I don't know. I just don't
It's
want
it's
to.
given out ownership, and like a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's because I can't remember."
Hmm.
I'm gonna forget, and I'm like, but how much
Be
do you need
better.
to like? If you can't remember a half-hour conversation, like
Yes.
I'm not speaking very, very quickly. I
Hmm.
remember one lady. I used to work in a witch shop called Wheel of Fate, which is still around. I actually just moved locations,
Hmm.
and we stood up from the table. Left, we got to the door, and she was like, okay, can you just give me a recap of everything you just said? And I was like, no, like I
No.
can't condense the last half hour. Like, have you
Oof.
forgotten already? Like, that's,
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do? I'm going to give you like a 30-second soundbite of the
Yeah.
last 30 minutes, like, as we're walking out the door. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I don't think so. Like, if your memory is that bad, I say just go for an email reading because then it's in black
Yes.
and white. Like, you can
Yes.
read over it, but like, I can't take responsibility for your sketchy memory, hen. Like,
No. And I get like um certain disabilities might prevent somebody from being able, but like you said, you have email readings as an option. So
exactly, yeah.
that's
And
what
that
you
might
would
feel
want to do.
unfair, but like that's something I come up with so often.
Yeah.
Someone like a Chinese girl the other day there asked me if she could come and see me in person, but she made it clear that she doesn't speak English and she was going to use a translator on her phone. And I said no. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to feel like I'm talking to someone who doesn't understand me and trusting a translation to an app that I don't have any
Yeah.
knowledge of. Like that's, it's not great for connecting. So like doing
No.
email readings. But even when someone's disabled, like I don't do translators at all.
Mm-mm.
Because I've noticed that often it's not translated exactly what I'm saying, and it's just awkward. Like I want to feel like I'm connecting with you, and if we can't
Right.
communicate, we're not going to connect very well.
Mm-mm.
But I tried it with like a deaf guy once, and he messaged me a few days later, and it was
Hmm.
very clear that what the translator was saying was not what I said at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she was like
Oh
acting in an
shit.
official or kind of casual capacity, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's a problem, I would
Yeah.
say. And even if when someone has a disability, like I remember this couple came to see me and they were like, it says on my website, one at a time. Very
Yeah.
clearly, it said that for years. And they were insistent because they both had ADHD, right? That they could not be by themselves. They needed the other person there to like help them hear what I was saying. And I was just like,
Mm.
no. Like I think they
Yeah.
thought as soon as they said, no, we have ADHD, that I was just gonna, oh, do you do whatever you want?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
no, it's the same
No.
rules for everybody. And by the way, they both sat down, had the readings, and they were totally fine. There was
Yes.
no, but people really chance it, you
They
know?
do. I think people are going to push boundaries no matter what. There's going to be like a
Yeah.
group of people who just can't help themselves. And like using ADHD as as an excuse like that is like I have raging ADHD and I still can sit through a reading and remember what happened. I'll knowledge dump
You do
afterwards.
not need an appropriate adult, if you're a 40-year
Uh-uh.
old with ADHD, like it's just
No.
not.
No, if you can't sit down for a reading, then get an email reading instead. Like
Exactly,
you have
exactly. Yeah.
options.
Like
So,
people do just expect you to bend, and
yes.
even with the one person at a time thing, like
Oh
people
yeah.
will say, "Oh, like, can my friend come in?" And I'll say, "No, it's one person at a time." They're like, "Oh, I know, but like, could I'm
But
like, they just keep asking, and I'm like, asking more times is not going to
yes.
do anything other than piss me off. Like you were
Yes.
told no. It's not like a complicated answer. It's not
Yes.
up for debate.
Yes. And I remember finding myself like almost like more like slipping into like a mom role and be like, I really wanted to tell them like what I would tell my daughter if she asked for like ice cream 16,000 times a day. You know, like, you know what? You ask one more damn time and you're not going to have ice cream for the next 2 weeks because now I'm pissed
Yeah.
off. Like that's the way I felt. Like when they push boundaries like that, I'm like, okay, now you've made me mad and I don't want to do this at all.
Sometimes it spills over into other things. Like I've had quite a few people asking if they can pay me cash in person lately, and I do all my bookings in person readings,
Yeah.
bookings through the website, and they pay on the website. And
Right.
there's a reason for that because before that, people would just book and not show up, and then
Oh
I'd be
yeah.
out of the money. It would waste my time and
Yep.
waste my money. And so people book ahead of time, they pay ahead of time, they need to cancel with 48 hours
Yeah.
notice. If they don't do that, they're not getting the refund. But people message me all the time and they act like I'm ungrateful because
Oh
they're
yeah.
offering me cash and I'm like, I just don't take it. I think they
Mm-mm.
assume because I'm a small business that I'll
Self-employed.
just pocket that and not pay tax on it and that it's great. But I
Oh yeah.
wouldn't do that. Like I need a secure record of the not just of the booking but of the
Yeah.
payment. I don't want any disputes like that.
Mm-mm.
And again, the other day, like someone asked me if they could do it, and I said, no, there's only one way to book and pay on the web and pay it's through the
Yeah.
website. And they messaged back and said, oh, it's because I have cash for my birthday. So I'm just wondering if you would do that,
Oh.
asking again. And I'm like, I just told you no. Like,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
care
care
if it's your
why
birthday.
or
Like,
the
I'm so,
reason.
happy birthday. I said happy birthday, but I
Yeah.
was like, that doesn't make a difference. I'm not sure why you think it would. Like, this is the way the business operates, and I can't change the
Hmm.
way the business operates for one person.
Yep.
Even if I wanted to, I probably, even if I could, I wouldn't.
No, no, there's no exceptions because it's like you said, it's a blanket rule for everybody. That way everybody's treated the same. Period.
Exactly. Fair is fair.
Yep. Fair is fair. I think that's all I have to bitch about.
Nothing else you wanted to cover?
Did you have anything else
Feels
on
good to
yours?
word to get the word vomit out, because we don't really get to
I
say
know.
these things to clients or the world at
No,
large. We just have to be nice and
no.
professional to people in the minute. But
Yes,
every profession has its
it does.
downsides, and they tend to be repeat in this industry, like
Oh
the same
God,
again and again.
it is. It's the same thing kind of again and again. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'll do it someday. I don't know as if I'll ever do cards again. Because at this
I think
point,
you're ready for something new, maybe a
yeah, I
new way
think
of reading, a new way of working.
I'm bored. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe someday I'll do like mediumship again because that was the most fun for me. Um, maybe we'll see. We'll
So
see.
interesting because I hate that aspect. Like,
I
not
love
that I'm
that
a
part of
medium,
it.
but like it's happened, and I don't want to do that.
Oh. And the reason I stopped doing it, so I had a stalker from California. So I had, yeah, she would call and text and email. Her daughter had died in a fire slash murder, and she just could not let it go. And she was constantly wanting me to connect to them to figure out who did it.
Yeah,
And it was
not
just
your job. You're not a police officer.
I'm not,
My
yeah. And
God.
I kept telling her, I'm like, I don't work with the police department. I have friends who do. And I was like, here, I can send you to this person. She actually works with law
Yeah,
enforcement. Like, this is not my realm. And it went on for months and months and months. And I was like, you know what, I'm done. And that was not the first or last stalker type thing, but that was the worst one because I felt really bad for her. I'm a mom. If I lost my daughter, I'd be inconsolable as well.
for
Um,
sure. Like that's gonna destroy you mentally, and so you
yeah.
kind of understand it, but also it's
Uh-uh.
not your burden to bear.
No, no.
Gotta be
I just
careful.
finally had to be like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm super sorry. Here, My dogs are pissed off.
You gotta get back to them. Well, thanks for having me.
Yes, yes, this was fun. I enjoyed it. And I hope that people got, like, we're not just being assholes, but I think everybody, I think if
We're
you're a
being
client,
honest.
it's fun. Like, we're being honest. And I think that clients need to see this side of it too, because I don't think that people share this side of it because they don't want to come across as an
Yeah,
asshole. But, you
for
know,
sure.
it is
But
what
it's
it
like
is.
any industry. You get clients who,
Yes.
cause you grief, and sometimes it's their fault, sometimes it's not. But
Yeah.
having the conversations better and keeping it lighthearted.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on. I
I'm sure I'll
appreciated
be
this.
back one day.
Absolutely. This was fun. I just want to say thank you to Kalem again for coming on the show. I had a blast, and I think that this is going to be fun for everybody to listen to. Again, if you are looking to book or learn more about Kalem, you can go to www.kalemturner.com and you can read about what he offers, what services he offers, and a little bit about him. That's all I have for now, so stay witchy. Bye-bye.